What is up, everybody? It is your favorite director's favorite director, and in the famous words of Alison De Laurentiis, did you miss me? Welcome back to the channel. It feels like it's been forever, and I say that every video because it has been forever. I am coming to you guys on a Wednesday. I just wanted to first start off with a quick address to like everybody that's in Florida, or if you were in Florida. By the time I'm seeing or filming this, or by the time you're seeing this, I should say, I've seen several hundreds of content coming out of Florida. So if you are in Florida, I'm hoping that you are safe. I'm hoping that your family is safe, your dogs are safe, your cats are safe, your animals are safe. I hope that you have found a way out, or you have found somewhere safe to hunker down until this passes. Even though you guys won't be seeing this until after everything has happened, I just wanted to make that the first thing that I say. With that being said, guys, we're on episode 6. I'm so excited. I have 6, 7, 8, and 9 left, and I'm pretty stoked. I hope that I'm starting to get into the trials, but we'll start to see, because I just read the description and it's not looking like that yet, but that's okay. I think the last couple of videos has been good. I got LYLE's perspective and I got ERIK's perspective. Both perspectives were really tough to listen to. Both perspectives were really tough to see, but I'm glad that I got them. Again, I just have to acknowledge the fact that Ryan Murphy has made some really questionable decisions in making this series, and though a lot of it is for entertainment, I think that I'm just kind of taking it at face value. I'm not putting too much stock in what I see until I watch the documentary, which will be the next thing that I do watch. If you don't get it before this video, you'll definitely get it after this video at some point. But yeah, I'm excited. I'm stoked. I think that I've developed, it's interesting because I feel like over the last couple of episodes I've developed an even more personal relationship with the boys, and so I'm interested to see how I am with the documentary, because that is like the boys talking, instead of like the boys speaking through actors that might be kind of glammed up, I should say. But other than that, I kind of just want to jump right into it, and I say this every video, don't I want to jump right into it, but of course I have to ask, how are you doing, how's your mental health, how's your life going? Yeah, I will be posting on Patreon this week, I promise. I think the first video I'm going to post on there is a Scream commentary, and then after that we can discuss what else I'm going to post on there. Maybe I'll do some trial videos of the brothers on Patreon. So head over to Patreon. If you're not a member, go ahead and subscribe, be a member, so that you can get access to all of that. If you're not following me on socials, please do so. That is always going to be linked in the description below. I'm on there a lot more than I am obviously on here. But other than that, I'm excited. If you're here, great. Settle down, lay back, sit back, grab some food, grab something to drink, and let's jump right in.
Era pero bien hombre para montarme un avión con Carlos y comenzar una vida yo solo y con nada. Un día voy a tener el valor para decirte lo tanto que me ha hecho sentir.
Jose, Spanish for Joseph?
Yes, it is.
Well, guys, this is a long episode. Well, guys, I made it a minute in, and I'm really proud of myself. I didn't think I'd be able to do it. I first want to thank the Academy. I want to thank myself. I want to thank you guys for being here. No, I'm just kidding. I think that this is interesting. First of all, what we're about to do is we're gonna go backwards in time and kind of see Jose and Kitty's relationship kind of develop and play out, I guess. Here's what I'm gonna start off this video with. There is no redemption arc. There is no character arc. You cannot convince me that these were good people. And I understand what they're trying to do with showing me that, like, he wanted to get married, or they wanted to get married, which we know that they wanted to get married young. We know that based off of the episode where Lyle was talking about getting married, and they said that he couldn't get married, he was too young. So they're showing us that he wanted to get married young. His mom said absolutely not, and then he said, one day I'm going to be able to tell you how much you hurt me, which I think is interesting, right? Because it's kind of trying to show that there's a cycle of abuse that was happening, that he was abused or he felt like he was being abused, and so then it translated down. But you can see even in these moments with Kitty in the beginning, kind of like they bump into each other, and then he's kind of like, I really like you, you're so American, which is not surprising. Most cultured people, like most people from a different culture are going to say something like that. Sometimes you get people from a different culture who are looking for Americanized people. Sometimes you get people from a different culture who have no idea what the hell's going on in America. So it's interesting, but also even when she's up there and she won Miss, I know that they're in Illinois, but I forget. But when she won that, he's like, that's my girl. And then when he's talking to her mom, and the mom is, I don't know if I would say uncultured, but like, you know, is Jose American for Joseph or Spanish for Joseph or whatever, however she like worded that? And he was like, yeah. And then he kind of like looks at Kitty and he like kind of winks at her. Like, you can tell that he's kind of, that domineering behavior has already kind of started to surface in their relationship, and she clearly chooses to stay with him for whatever reason that is. And I'm sure that Ryan Murphy will tell me. And I keep blaming Ryan Murphy, but Ryan Murphy is just an executive producer, by the way. He's not, well, as far as I've seen, and I haven't done enough research into it about writing it or directing it, but I know how much sway and power the executive producer holds.
Husband and wife.
I hate my kids. They're parasites, actually.
I always find it interesting when I always find it interesting. I always find it interesting when people say this. I hate my kids. I hate kids in general. They're parasites. Girl, you spread your legs open and had 2 of them. I don't want to fucking hear it.
Find more fucking money than that in my goddamn laundry hamper.
Lyle scares me. Erik's pathetic.
Wow, I can't even get through her monologue because it's so fucking bad. And I think the problem with getting through the monologue is now that I know the truth, right? I know that Lyle never really raised his voice. So him yelling at her and her being afraid of Lyle doesn't make any fucking sense to me. And it doesn't, and it will never make fucking sense to me. You're scared of your son, but you're not scared of your husband. Girl, get out of my face with that bullshit. I'm sorry, but you'll not find any sympathy or empathy from me when it comes to fucking Kitty Menendez. And this whole thing I think is interesting too when she's talking about ERIK, and of course she calls him pathetic because she's a fucking bully. The irony being that she's the pathetic one in this situation. The interesting thing is when you're seeing it from her perspective, right? We've seen this tennis match. We saw the tennis match from ERIK's perspective. And from ERIK's perspective, Jose comes down and he yells and he breaks the tennis racket and he fires the coach. But from her perspective, ERIK's the one that gets mad and he throws the tennis racket and Jose's just kind of sitting there watching. So it's interesting that perspective and perception changes everything. And in this situation, we already know what really happened and we know what's been happening based off of that. So what I will say to the writers in that perspective is giving us what happened before this helps me kind of place Kitty where she needs to be placed, because I think oftentimes what tends to happen is when you get a background from somebody, and I have a really bad tendency, and I wouldn't say this is a bad tendency, but I'm prone to love the villain, right? I'm rewatching Harry Potter right now and I love Voldemort, and I think I just love the villain because they all, oh goodness gracious, if you look deep enough, most of them are just kind of lacking and feeling like they're loved and cared for. But well, that's a conversation for a different time. But most of the time, when you get a villain's backstory, it really makes you question your morals. When you show that they kind of grew up in a crappy situation, or when you see that they might have been abused, or that they might have went through some traumatic things and now they're the villain, villain, it makes you question that the better part of you, because you want to root for them, but you can't root for them because society and this movie is telling me that they're the villain. In this situation, though, I don't root for the villain. There's nothing that would convince me to root for Kitty Menendez. You left your children in this situation, regardless of if you were being beat, regardless of if you were the one being sexually brutalized, whatever the case may be, you stayed in this situation. And there are absolutely people who stay in situations like this and they literally cannot get out. And for those people, those actual true victims, it's so disheartening. But in this situation, I know that she's not a real victim. I mean, I've been told several times and I've seen several times that she kind of puts the boys in these situations, and you're throwing your kids in closets and in the basement and you're getting naked in front of them and you're stripping them down. Like, I don't feel bad for her. Tangent.
When they're fast asleep, I can still feel connected to them. But most days, I hardly recognize them. Those boys are always trying to steal the love of my life.
Guys, I don't think you understand. I was really trying not to pause in that moment, but something in my little heart told me pause and say what I've said several times over the last 4 videos. It is so weird to be in competition with your children. That is so weird. But if I am playing the devil's advocate and I say, well, what if you look at it from her perspective? If you hate these kids and you feel like they're parasites, it doesn't matter what they do. They can literally just say, hi, dad, and you can fucking flip out and you can lose your shit because of it. You're always going to feel that they're taking him away from you because, oh my God. And it's such a catch-22 because in the last video, in the last episode, ERIK told us that the only time he felt like he had an actual connection with his dad was when he was by himself and his dad was abusing him. So I would imagine it was the same thing with LYLE, except LYLE was like the golden child, and I know that ERIK was ignored and LYLE was not. So for LYLE and ERIK, first of all, it was 2 different things, and neither of them ever tried to take their dad away from their mom. I don't know why I need to preference or refer. You know what the word I'm looking for. I don't know why I would need to preface that. Got it. But in her mind, in her warped memory, and I think a lot of it is just the fact that she felt like she had to fight for him. She had to fight for Jose, right? Like, her mom didn't agree with the wedding. His mom didn't agree with the wedding. She was always fighting to be with him. Which, first of all, if you're fighting that hard to be with somebody, yeah, maybe not the one. Maybe not. But in this situation, she was always going to feel like this. And I think it's interesting that the only time she can ever care about her boys is when they're unconscious. Interesting, isn't it? She's just, everything about her personality. And of course he cheated on you. Look at you. Look at the way that you're acting. You're insecure. She's so insecure. You're insecure. You think that your boys are trying to steal him? How about the girl that he's been messing around with? Like, if you're gonna really take it up with somebody, take it up with the girl.
You know, I got a fucking facelift for you and you don't even say anything?
Don't let them in yet! Don't let them in yet!
No one told us that we were doing presents this year.
Yes, I did.
Oh my God, a car! Alicia, I'll be right back, okay?
That's there, that's love.
I hate it. I hate it so much when they can make me laugh and they can make me smile. I hate it so much because I know the tragedies that were occurring. And I think what's actually interesting, and I do want to touch on it now that I thought about it, is that oftentimes we do that, don't we? We only ever see this version of them, which I think is interesting. And by we, I mean like social media. Like, she's like, I gotta go show Alicia my new car, blah, 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 blah. But Alicia's only gonna see this side of them. Nobody sees the other side, like what's really happening, the fact that they're being bullied, the fact that they're being abused. Like, nobody sees that. And Jose, my God, there's that vicious cycle we're talking about. He literally just got done saying, I want you to lose 9 pounds, but then he bought her that bracelet in a car and she'll forget about it. So it's just like things like that. And I think it's also interesting that he says, that's love, that's love. No, it's not. I don't know whose heart I'm about to break saying this, but just because you can provide materialistically does not mean it's love. It just means that you can provide materialistically, right? Love is just a different, I don't think, truthfully, and this is gonna sound so weird, that Jose and Kitty ever actually loved their children or each other. Fun fact. I don't think that they did. And I say that because there's a very specific energy and wavelength of love that you're in. And when you're in it, it's very, very hard to notice that anything around you is going wrong. It's hard to notice that anything around you could potentially not be where it's supposed to be because you're so in that moment of love. We call it blinders, we call it the honeymoon phase, we call it a lot of different things, right? But in this situation, they're more often in hate, right? There's love and there's hate. Those are the two frequencies or the two ends of the spectrum, love and hate. And most things you'll find stem from hate and that anger and that sadness. And so you're getting so much hate-filled emotions and egotistical emotions from them. So when you start to see them kind of happy during Christmas time, the time where you're supposed to be cheerful and jolly, and he's saying it's Christmas, of course you're supposed to get gifts. What are you talking about? When you're seeing this version of them, it's so hard not to smile because we love seeing people happy. We love seeing people cheerful. We love seeing people enjoy. So it kind of messes with that inner part of you. That's that sense of like, oh, maybe it wasn't all bad. Maybe it wasn't all bad. But it's like, then you go and you start to think of what was actually happening and you're like, well, it doesn't matter if it was good even 10% of the time. 90% of their life was hell.
And this became my Bible on how to become someone in this country. Today I will be master of my emotions. From this moment I am prepared to control whatever personality awakes in me. I will control my moods through positive action.
It's interesting that he's saying that this became Bible to him, but it's like, you don't listen, you don't do that. You don't control your moods. You're a dick. Like, it's so interesting, the hypocrisy from him. And it's interesting too that he kind of sits down, he gets eye level with them, he kind of he's got a hand on them, and he's telling them, I will control my moods, I will control what I can, but it's like, you don't do that. So you're saying that this was your Bible and that you committed this to memory and this is who you are, but you don't use positive reinforcement. Are you absolutely insane or just drastically delusional?
Sir, we arrested them this morning. We have reason to believe they're involved in a series of burglaries here in the area.
Am I pausing to talk about something directorial? I am. This little moment, and I'm gonna rewind it for you guys. A couple, because I really like the song.
We didn't rob those houses, okay? We didn't.
So that little moment right there where the song is playing out loud. So in the mind of the viewer, they don't hear the song, right? So when we're watching it, we know that they can't hear the song. It's not just this song is playing and they're listening to it out loud. But I absolutely adore this. Anybody who knows me knows that I love this moment when you're able to do, so you play that music as the soundtrack, and then you cut, or somebody will take off headphones and you'll hear it muffled like they were listening to it in their headphones. And that's exactly what they did in the car. So the last door shuts and then he turns the car on, and it even skips the chunk that you would have missed with the car off. And then when the car turns back on, it picks back up where it would if the car was on. So it's just, I'm absolutely obsessed with that. As a director myself, I love that. And so also, the fucking song is amazing. And I just realized that that's the title of the episode.
Stay away from me, please.
It's interesting because I don't know if they're trying to tell us in this moment that Jose has feelings and emotions. Oh, I'm so desensitized, I think. I just watched this too much and now I'm desensitized to it. I don't care that Jose has emotions and feelings, truthfully, if I'm being really honest with you. But for the sake of this, let's just say I care. I think what is happening is that I actually don't think it's the fact that the boys got arrested. I think it's the fact that his reputation is gonna start to get called into question. Like, oh, did you hear that the Menendez boys got arrested, da 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 da, and all this stuff. So I think it has less to do with the boys and more to do with him and his ego taking a hit. And then it's like this, stay away from me. I don't. It's just hard to care. Hard to care.
You want me to move the koi pond 2 feet? Okay. One your husband wants, big shower room with all the shower heads, like a Roman bath, he said.
I'm sure he did.
We're moving. By that time, I hope the shame those boys have brought on my name would be a distant memory. Well, my sons tell you they are not to be trusted. They are liars, they are fabulists, and I hope you can fix them. I'm not sure anyone can.
So, I was right when I said that he was crying because his reputation was ruined. They had to move because everybody would know that the kids did this. And also, he's doubling down now, right? So he's saying the only reason, he's talking to Dr. Oziel, that piece of trash, the piece of filth that he is. He's talking, like calls like, am I right? He is talking to Dr. Oziel, and he's basically saying, whatever my boys tell you, it's a lie. They can't be trusted, they're sociopaths. And he's doubling down just in case they might slip up about the abuse. He can't have that, so if he can get ahead of it and convince the doctor that the boys are liars and that you can't trust them and that the only reason they're there is because of the courts and I don't think that you can be fixed or they can be fixed, it's just to double down. It's just to make sure that he doesn't get caught, because that's his thing, isn't it? Lie, cheat, steal, but don't get caught. And that's what he abides by.
And, home isn't always the easiest.
It's hard that your mother and I have given you every fucking opportunity for you guys to have everything you want, everything you need.
Is Kitty over here?
Okay. Doctor?
So I think this is interesting because were they supposed to be in family therapy, or was it just supposed to be the boys? Because it seems like this should have just been the boys, but it's also like, even this, it's like strong arming the therapist, shut up, I'm paying you so you can listen to me. And also, like, none of what they feel is ever going to be valid with their dad there. Does that make sense? Like, none of it is ever going to be valid because they'll never be able to speak freely about what is happening. And again, it's just another way for Jose to not get caught. And so they're saying, sometimes it's tough at home. And even to say that in front of your parents is interesting. But he's saying it's tough at home. And he goes, yeah, what's tough about being home? You get everything that you want. You live in the big house. You're great at tennis. You're these da da da. But it's like, well, what's really tough at home is the fact that you've been abusing us, or that you've abused us. But I can't say that because you're here and I'm afraid of you. Oh, goodness gracious.
You stand up. We're going to Mr. Chow's. Did I do this to them?
Well, yes.
You want to give them everything you are, everything you have, you own. From them, all I get, all I see is this entitlement. I am ashamed of them. I'm ashamed of myself, of the way I raised them. I
think that what's interesting here is there's a lot of truth to what he's possibly saying, as far as, is it my fault? I'm ashamed of myself by how I raised them. I think that there's some I do think that there's some self-reflection there, but I don't think that I still don't think he's seeing it, because it's like, you've created them, you did this, and it's not even an entitlement thing. I think that just you're the one that decided that your role was to be the provider. That's what you decided as the father. You decided that your role was to be the provider. You don't get to be upset when they expect you to provide for them. That's all. And as far as everything else goes, yeah, it's your fault. You were still, even in this moment, you're still abusing ERIK. You're still doing it. Nothing has changed. So it's like, I'm sorry if I don't find any empathy for you. And even if I'm going back to my comment about how him and Kitty were not in love, even if they were in love, they were just not. They might have been in a frequency of love for a fleeting moment, because after the moment was when they were together without children. Then he went and he got 2 boys, and then you expect a certain thing from them, and they don't live up to your expectations, and you're doing all these other things to them, and causing just such mental manipulation. And then you're questioning why they act the way that they act. Babes, take a look in the mirror.
Life completely fucking backwards. That's what they got.
You're not a bad dad, Jose.
Well,
don't mind me saying you're tough with them sometimes, sure.
You think I like being like that? You think I like screaming at them? You think, I mean, no, I don't. Where do I go from here, Marcel? I don't love you, Kitty. I don't love our sons. My God, you're a failure. You're a drunk. You're a pill popper.
Stop it.
You know, I was never in love with you. But
it's like I could predict this shit. I was never in love with you. I just wanted to have a family. Told you. And he's so mean. It's so mean. Even though he's talking in this calm voice like this, he thinks that because he's talking in this calm voice like this, it's not as mean. You're mean. What you're saying is mean. It's hurtful. So I believe ERIK when he's saying that it wasn't like the physical thing. Sometimes what he said to me hurt worse. He's just so mean.
But I make more money for this family because that's what this family needs. More money, money, money. And you know what? I can't lie anymore. I can't lie and tell you that I love you when I don't. I can't lie and tell you that I love this family when I don't.
I just think that a man who can sit here and sexually abuse his children and then turn around and say, I don't love this family, is truthfully, wow, how does it feel down there? Like, truthfully, like, no, dead ass. And I haven't set it up until this point because I'm trying my best not to speak ill of the dead, but I see that that didn't get me very far. It got me to episode 6. But fuck you. And you are exactly where you need to be, as far as I'm concerned. You, Jose and Kitty, much like Dahmer, you just could not exist in this world anymore, and that's why you are not here anymore. You couldn't exist in this world. You were doing things beyond this realm that were just taking and taking and taking from other people, and like you could not exist here anymore, and that's why you are not here. But to sit here and say, I don't love this family, I don't care about this family, while you're sexually assaulting your child, is bold, baby. It is bold. Oh, it's bold.
You loved me the moment you laid eyes on me, Jose Menendez. I can't handle our boys. And I tried to kill myself, you know? Every day, I have wanted to be dead.
Come on, go back to sleep.
That in and of it, not the Twin Towers, that in and of itself teaches you exactly who he is. She just confessed to him that she's tried to kill herself, it didn't work, and every day she wants to die. And what does he say to her? Come on, go back to sleep. As if nothing that she just said mattered. And he does it, which is not surprising because he does it to the kids too.
Quiero menudo por todos lados, por todas partes. Los quiero en la máquina de Coca-Cola, en la fiambrera, en los juguetes. 30 millones que tú dices. Absolutely, yes, I closed the fucking deal.
He was a great salesman. Okay, cool. I'm not even going to say I'm going to give him his coins because he doesn't fucking deserve coins. And if I'm giving him his coins, I'm chucking him at his head because he doesn't deserve them. But he was a great salesman. That's all. Which is not surprising. He's a great salesman. He's a great gaslighter. He's a lot of things. And none of them are positive.
I'm different from most of your clients. I don't do this much.
You'd be surprised.
Okay, what do you know about ancient Rome, the Greeks?
I don't do this much. I just do it with my son often. But I don't do this much. I don't do this much. I don't hire a sex worker much. Most of the time it's because I'm abusing my son. I don't do this much though. Ugh. It's like, I don't know if this is supposed to be developing my character arc for him or what, but it's actually doing the complete opposite of that. It's making me even more mad and annoyed.
They bonded with each other, learned what pain was, ever sinning it, you know? And all of this happened very naturally, with soldiers teaching each other how to be a real man.
Wow, it's like he's prepared this pitch, and I don't remember asking for his PowerPoint presentation, but yet here we are. What I'm going to say about this situation is that there are reasons why trends, and I'm going to use that word trends really loosely. There are reasons why trends and things from different cultures come and go. And a lot of that is because as we evolve as people and as we evolve as human beings, and as we evolve as spirits in the human body, we're understanding that shit doesn't work anymore, and it never did. The Romans and us are not the same. Get over it. Like, that shit doesn't work. That's not, what is that? How is it that I'm always talking about being a man? I didn't, it's like that's it for him. Be a man. This is how they taught each other how to be men and deal with real pain. It's like, but you were doing this to your 7-year-old son. 7. At 7 years old. You are just, and also that doesn't make you a man. It makes you a fucking predator. Dog. Don't know how I haven't said that yet, but it makes you a fucking predator.
Whoa. Oh, fuck. Bring it on, bring it on!
Look, you wrote scrams. I just typed what you wrote.
Damn, bro. Mom just burned your ass. That's true, Mom. I mean, you're constantly fucking things up. I mean, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I said it before and I'll say it again. The screenplay is trash, Eric. Let it go. Let the dream go. Let it go. And don't even get me started on trash-ass Craig. Yeah, I see Craig. Trash. 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 And of course, the boys are going to come in. They're going to tell their mom all of this stuff. They're going to be abusive to the mom. They're going to say all these things. But it's like, yeah, I'm sorry. I know what you've been doing to them. And I know what you've been saying. It's just unfortunate.
You always gang up on me when your father's out of town on business. I can't take it anymore. You can type your own script from now on. And Craig, you can't stay for supper. Sorry, I am not a restaurant.
The only time you'll ever hear me say I agree with Kitty Menendez is that moment. Craig, you can't stay for supper. You fucking imbecile.
Fuck that. You said that you were gonna fucking poison us and you fucking did it.
I was joking.
The decision to make the boys so careless and callous is so interesting to me, because it's like, it's almost as if when they made the show, they were making it in regards to making it as if no one believed the sexual abuse. Because, and I say that because, or they make it in regards to believe that nobody stepped forward, or nobody heard these boys ever talk in court, or nobody really knew who these boys were, because I just don't see them being that careless, especially if I just don't see it. And I can see if this is kind of something that their mom does often, so it's just kind of like, yeah, Mom, you're just doing it again. But I just, like, even though they just kind of sit there and watch her as she, like, falls, and they're just watching and watching and watching, like, there's like there's nothing. And as somebody who believes, and in this moment, Eric had told us that him and his mom used to be close, and then, so it's just like, I just don't believe that they would just sit there and watch or treat her like this. I don't see that.
I'm going to fix this family.
Hi. I robbed your house.
So, the only way to do this, Eric, you're taking the fall for all of it, okay?
And just when I was about to say something good about Jose Menendez, he goes and fucks it all up with one sentence. What I was gonna say was, a lot. I was gonna say a lot. I was gonna say he went off, he had some Roman type sex, and he came back a changed man. Not really, though. He went off, he had sex, da-da-da. So he says that he ends his affair, he wants to help Kitty, and he wants to take care of the boys. So what he does is he makes the boys take responsibility for what they did. Now, yes, some may see this as a positive thing. No, it's not, because he hasn't taken responsibility for what he has done. And just because you keep equating it to the Romans and making your boys men doesn't mean shit to me. You haven't taken responsibility, and then what do? You go and say ERIK has to take all the blame for this. You make ERIK take all the blame for this because LYLE's supposed to be the golden child. So you didn't learn anything. You didn't do anything. And honestly, now that I'm thinking about it, and now that I'm processing it, the only reason you did that was to save and salvage your own reputation. You didn't even do it for the boys.
That's all I need. And then, boom, I'm going to Florida. I buy a compound. I run for Senate. You want to know a secret?
Sure.
I don't know the first thing about the music industry.
Like I said, he was just a really good salesman, so it makes sense that he doesn't know anything about the music industry. He's just a great salesman, and being a great salesman clearly was enough in this moment. And even him wanting to run for state senate, like, did you honestly believe that you were going to get away with that? Did you think that nobody was going to look into who you are and what you've done?
Couple of fatties, quitting smoking, mainlining sugar.
Jose Menendez?
Hello, Mr. Menendez. I'm Charles Deere, Dean of Students at Princeton.
Aaron Burr. You know who they were?
Yeah, they were presidents.
Was Aaron Burr president? I don't remember. I watched enough Hamilton. I think it's interesting because the only reason, again, and I said this before, but everything that Jose does is very calculated. He doesn't make a move without knowing 3 steps ahead what he's gonna do. So when he decided to help Kitty, to make the boys take responsibility, to pay them out of their whatever, to pay off these people, he was doing all of that because he knew he was going to run for state senate and it was going to look bad as far as reputation goes. And even getting LYLE into Princeton, I don't think it was for LYLE's sake. I think it's for his sake, so that he can say, I got my son into Princeton, my son went to Princeton. So I just think that it's interesting because there's such a heavy calculation that you have to do to be that far ahead in things. And of course, you're trying to control things that you can't control. You're controlling people that you can't control. LYLE doesn't want to go to Princeton. That's not what he wants. But you don't care about that. You're not listening. And therefore, because it's not what he wants, what does? He manifests getting caught and getting suspended, cheating. So it's just like, things are not working out because it's not meant for you. And he did not understand that. He just kept trying to control it and strong arm, like I've been saying, the theme of today's episode, ladies and gentlemen. He keeps trying to strong arm everything.
That's abuse. Dad. That's abuse.
So when it tightens, it immediately pinches the dog's neck. You tug on the leash and it hurts. But it only hurts when it disobeys.
What he's trying to do is justify abuse. And basically he's doing it by comparing training a dog to training a human. First of all, you do not train a human being. That's not the way this shit works. You can guide a human being. That's a fun word we should try using. You can guide a human being, but you do not train a human being. And that collar, all that collar does is cause pain and inflict pain. And then what he says is, but the only time that happens is when you disobey me. And it's just like, in what world do I want to live in where disobeying you means I get hit or hurt? Like it doesn't compute naturally in our brain. Like that's not life. That's not living. That's being in fear your whole life. So then you grow up and it breeds resentment, or it breeds so much fear that I have to get away. And the only way to do that is to kill you.
I want to think when you complain that I hit you. I think that I didn't hit you hard enough. Hit me so hard my head would throb for days. I'm really sorry I didn't hit you hard enough.
Again, you're trying to tell me that Jose got abused as a kid, his dad abused him, so we should understand that there's a cycle of abuse. But no, the only person that has ever understood the cycle of abuse in this situation, and I'll say people, is LYLE and ERIK. LYLE said, I hated it when my dad did it to me, but I did it to him. Why would I do that? He was questioning it, right? Like, he was genuinely sympathetic. He was sorry for doing that, for inflicting pain on his brother. But what he just said was, I'm sorry that I didn't hit you hard enough, because clearly you didn't get the message the first time I hit you, or the second time I hit you, or the third time I hit you, or when I was sexually abusing you. You weren't getting the message, and apparently neither is your fucking brother. No, yeah, monsters. The Jose Menendez story.
And I'm sorry.
And also, that's that weird ass traditional punishing. That's that weird traditional punishment. I beat you so hard you have bruises, but you'll never do it again. That's weird. That is so weird. That's not what that does for me. What it does is make me afraid of you. And if I'm afraid of you, then I don't want to be around you ever. So the minute that I can get free, the minute that I can break free, the minute that there's an opportunity and an escape route, I'm taking it.
Put it on now.
You rub it between your toes, and you rub it deep so it kills the fungus. This is basic stuff, Eric. How do you not know this?
Guys, I'm trying so hard to let this play. I'm trying so hard not to pause. There was a while there that I didn't pause for a while, right? Like, I was kind of letting it play. It was good. I didn't really have anything to say, but this is uncomfy. And it's uncomfy because you can see in the way that ERIK is responding, like, is there a spray that I can just spray? Because he knows what this can transpire into. Now, I don't know if in this moment it's going to, but he's aware that this can lead to him being abused by his dad. And his dad is just so nonchalant about it. He's kind of just like, yeah, take off your shoes. I guess I'll do it for you. You can't do anything for yourself. Haha, like making it a joke. But it's like, no, this is not a joke. I'm in danger.
I'm going to get you into business school at UCLA, but you're not living in the dorms. You're living here at home where I can keep tabs on you. A male model. Are you homosexual?
Okay. Anybody in the audience want to take this question on? Anybody in the audience want to take on this fucking question? Okay. Yeah, let's do it. Let's jump right into it. First of all, it's interesting that he says, first of all, he says, you're not good enough. LYLE was good enough. You're not good enough. So I'm going to get you into business school at UCLA, but you're not going to live in the dorms. You're going to live in this house. One, so I can keep sexually abusing you. So that's what he says. And then he's saying, I can't let you talk because you're gonna speak you're gonna say something dumb. I don't trust you. I don't trust your judgment. I don't trust what you're doing. And so then he pulls out the modeling photos. And with the modeling photos, he's asking, are you gay? And it's like, well, I don't know, Dad. What do you think? I think that penetrating you over the last what, 6, 7, 8 years of my life, and you penetrating me, it's really made it really hard for me to understand even what I am. And I'll never, ever, ever, ever know, because you inflicted something on me that can never be taken back. Are you a homosexual? And this is a genuine question he asks. Well, it's a genuine question for me to ask you that. I can ask you that. I can ask you if you're a pedophile. I can ask you that, because you are.
I'm giving you a future with me. Yes, you are going to the prom with her because all I care about is the fucking prom photo, and then you and your friend Craig go suck each other's dicks.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm doing modeling and acting.
What's crazy to me is in that moment, even when he said it, he said, I'm setting up a future for you with me. And I think that in that moment, all Eric thought was, oh my God, I'm gonna have to deal with this for the rest of his life. I'm gonna have to deal with this for that much longer. And I think that eventually you do, and I don't know, and I think that with abuse, like, eventually you get to a point where it's like, I don't even care what the repercussions are. No, absolutely not. This is my only escape route, and I want to take it, and I can't do this. I can't live like this anymore. And he says that several times throughout the last episode. So it's just like, I mean, Jesus, I'm proud of him. I'm so proud of him for trying to stand up for himself in this moment.
Fuck.
And then, oh my God, I can cry. And then when he okay. Oh my God. And then, woo, give me a second here. Like, this one got me, guys. That got me. Woo, that one took me for a loop. And then when Eric stands up for himself and he decides, this is too much. I can't, Dad. No. What does his dad do? He takes him upstairs into his room and he rapes him. Nothing can convince me that Jose should still be alive.
He doesn't have a girlfriend. Okay? And he's not wearing any fucking condoms.
Well, then, why are you worried?
Because I don't want Eric to have AIDS.
Imagine. I use the word imagine a lot, don't I? Because I just want you guys to imagine. Imagine being so fucking delusional that you have abused your kid so fucking much that he might be gay, and now you're concerned because he might get AIDS, and you have been abusing him the whole time still. No, Jose, unfortunately, that karma was gonna take a little bit too long to be delivered to you.
He cannot bring it into me.
Also, I'm aware that my assumption is that a lot of this was not accurate because Eric was not gay.
For blisters. Just let me look, please, and herpes sores. I need to know what's going on with you and the boys more.
No, what you're asking, no.
fucking grown man lie so fucking fast in his life. Know what you're asking? No. Yeah, girl, you didn't notice? He stopped the affairs and he still wasn't having sex with you because he was getting it somewhere else. Damn, Ma, come on.
Ask the question, ask it. Kitty, ask me the question.
Is something sexual going on between you and the boys?
Yes.
I won't tell anyone.
No. No. Let me revert to my last episode where Leslie said, you deserved better. You deserved better parents. You and Lyle deserved better parents. I won't tell anyone. You dirty, insecure mother. I won't tell anyone? Are you fucking kidding me right now? Do you understand how insecure you have to be? Okay. No. Hold on. Let me really calm down because I'm supposed to be very level-headed and calm when I'm approaching you guys and I'm talking to you guys. The amount of insecurity that you have to ask if something sexual is going on with the boys and to not tell anyone, which this kind of reverts us back to the first thing that she said. I hate my children. You would have to. You would literally have to hate them to allow this to go on, know about it, and not say anything. You would have to. So you're right. And I'm a firm believer that you're not capable of hate. I'm a firm believer. But you thoroughly disliked your kids. That ego was loud. The ego, the insecurities within the ego was loud. Because that is appalling. That is the most appalling thing I think I've ever heard. I won't tell anyone.
No, there's not.
I'm sorry, are you trying to look at me? I'm pausing back to back because it's like, are you trying to convince me or yourself, babe? Are you trying to convince me or yourself? Because you're lying, babe. I'm watching you quake. You are quaking. Like there's an earthquake in California right now. You are shivering, my guy. God. Oh.
My mother would fondle me and my penis until I got an erection. Marta, my sister, was arguing with her and saying, Mom, you don't do that anymore.
I think that this is actually doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do. And I think I've said that several times throughout this video. You're doing the opposite of what it's supposed to do. I don't feel bad that he was abusing. He's continuing on the cycle. As a matter of fact, I'm even more annoyed because you're sitting here saying, I know now that it was wrong. And my sister said it was wrong. So I know that it was wrong. And maybe it's just like a funny thing to those people. Really? You think so? That's a funny thing? It's a funny thing to tie something around your kid's penis? Like, that's funny? It's funny to you? Ha funny? Really? Genuinely? Because it's funny to me that you even think that shit's funny. It's like, it's truthfully just doing the opposite. Nobody should ever experience that. That's as much as I will give. That's the most grace I will give him. Nobody should have to experience that. But I don't. Then if anything, you know better.
I've tried my whole life to make men out of those two boys.
I hate my kids. And it's awful, but it's true. They have turned us into people we don't want to be. Pushed us apart.
The irony of I hate my kids, they've pushed us apart. No, babe, your husband did that. When somebody tells you who they are or shows you who they are, believe them. And that's what he did when he said, I don't love this family. I don't love us. I failed us. I don't love you. All I wanted was a family. And now that it's broken and I don't care anymore. Believe him. Because he meant that shit. Because in this moment, you keep trying to sit here and say that, like, it's the boys' fault. It's the boys' fault. There's so much blame being put on the boys and no responsibility being taken by the adults in this situation. And then you're going to sit here and lie to this therapist. And you know what's going on, Kitty. Kitty, you know what's going on, babe. You're not that fucking slow. You know what's going on, and you're still going to sit here and say, I hate my kids, as if this was their decision. Because at 6 years old, your kids seduced their dad. Come on, bro. Come on. No, dead ass. Now I'm like, I've passed the point of sadness, and I've reached the cycle of anger.
There was a lot of abuse in my home growing up. I think I was drawn to that. Women marry men like their fathers. I mean, not that Jose is that at all.
Yeah.
It's just the way he carries himself. His presence is very masculine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Girl, you knew what you was saying. You knew what you was doing. Even the therapist knew what you was doing. Girl. Again. It's even worse when you come from a place of abuse yourself. When you come from that place and you allow it, especially when you allow it on the people who you're supposed to hold and cherish and nurture and guide, I don't feel bad for you at all. I don't. Guys, I'm sorry. Like, I'm done. I can't.
Was there ever sexual abuse in your home growing up?
No.
Why are we talking about this?
Was there?
Oh, come on.
I think that what's funny in this moment is the therapist is literally just like doing her job. Like, that's what you're supposed to say. Like, okay, there was abuse. Was there ever sexual abuse? Was it physical? Was it mental? Was it emotional? You ask these things as a therapist, and it's funny because all she did was get to the bottom line, and she kind of got to like the root of the problem. And Kitty might have set this up. She could have set it up, but it's like, cool, you set it up to do what? To stand on it? To be 10 toes down for him? Girl, if I can cut off your feet, I would.
Estoy hablando, mamá. Coño, que te pasó a ti también, que Mata me lo dijo. Mata me dijo del tío tuyo ese, no sé cómo coño se llamaba, que estaba todo el día borracho. Tu hermana es una mentirosa. Cierto, tú no sabes lo que estoy hablando, tú no sabes carajo, coño.
This is a beautiful example of a cycle of abuse, and this is and I've been saying cycle of abuse this whole time, but this is like he's saying, this is what you did to me. How could you do that? Your uncle did it to you. And then she said your sister was jealous. She's a liar. So it's just this cycle of abuse that now you're watching it be handed down, boom, 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 through the generations. And as much as he's sitting here crying, I feel. I can empathize with him, but I do not sympathize. I can empathize with the fact that no kid should ever have to experience that. No son should ever have to talk to his mother about something like this, even as he gets older. But what my problem with this situation is you didn't change your behavior. Even when it broke you to this extent, you didn't change. Nothing changed. I can't believe that you sat there and you went to the boys and you sat them down and you said, listen, I'm so sorry for everything that I did. This is what happened to me, because you're too prideful and you're too stuck in your fucking ego. You're too much of a man to sit there and admit to something like that. And don't worry, guys. I've been seeing all the comments where the attorneys were saying men don't have the parts to be raped. I've seen it all. And what I have to say to that is ignorance. It's ignorant. That is the most ignorant shit I've ever seen.
Oh, Jesus, you're ridiculous, children. I have to say this is it for me. I'm not coming to any more of these sessions.
Kitty.
Nope. And I left behind the life of a beauty queen, or I could have been a movie star like Kim Novak. What I got?
Well, the irony is you never could have done any of those things if you were going to be with Jose. Sorry about it. You were never going to be any of those things. This is the life that you chose. This is the life. This is what you chose. You chose to live this life. Period. I'm a very firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer that we choose what life we're going to live. We choose what body we're going to inhabit. We choose who's going to guide us along that journey. You chose Jose in this lifetime, and look at where it fucking got you. Overall, I think this episode just, and I was hoping mostly that we would kind of catch all the way up, kind of go over anything that they would want to, kind of, we went over LYLE's story, we went over ERIK's story, now we went over Kitty and Jose's story, so now we should just be getting the trial from here on out. I'm sure there'll still be some flashbacks, but I think that it's interesting that there's just no hope for redemption or character arc. In my mind, like even towards the end when like you could potentially feel a little bit sad when they're sitting down to eat their ice cream together and they kiss and it's just kind of like, well, damn, you're about to die. But it's like, look at what you've done. You've caused this. You've created this. Every single decision that you've ever made has led to this moment in your life. And I believe that wholeheartedly. So it was just interesting. It was just very interesting. Dope. Okay, cool. We're about to get into the truth. I'm very excited. This was great. I'm glad I got through this episode. We're almost there. We're kind of hitting the last leg, guys. We're on the last leg here, almost done. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say, I should say, about this episode. I think I pretty much summed all of my feelings up while I was watching and reacting. So yeah. If you stayed the whole time, thank you. I appreciate you. If you loved it, great. I'm glad you're here. If you didn't love it, I'm sorry, but thank you for watching. Again, if you want to see more, so like, subscribe, comment, follow my socials. They're all down in the description below, as always. I will be posting on Patreon. I know you guys have said that literally 4 episodes now. I'm sorry. I promise I'll be posting on Patreon. And again, I think I'm going to do Scream first, and then everything after that, we'll see what we end up doing. So head over there. Just be on the lookout for that. But I'm excited. I'm very, very excited to get into the next episode. So I'm going to jump right back on. But yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, you know the drill. Be good to yourself. Be kind to yourself. And above all else, I love you.